Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Playing Pretend with me, Chris McIlvenny. This week I am joined by Gerard Jordan, an actor from Pulling Moves, Game of Thrones, Brassic, The Fall. He's been everything and an incredible theatre career as well. We talk about that. Yeah, you're going to love this one. He's an absolute gent. This is Gerard Jordan. Gerard, thanks very much for taking the time out to speak to me. How are you, mate?
All good, brother. How are you?
Dead on, mate. Dead on. Just doing what you do, just sitting in
Just
the house.
just really busy in a pandemic, you know?
Yeah. Pretend to be hard staring here with my microphone and all. Just start my own radio show.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, mate. Fair play to you. I hope wish you all the best for it.
thanks, mate. So I normally start by saying how we first met. We first met when you were doing Lemonade Sandwich, and I was brought on to stage manage it. I was doing the
That's right,
lights
yeah.
and sound and all.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. A one man play, and you were class in it. I absolutely loved that play. Loved doing it.
Thanks, mate.
But
Appreciate that.
that wasn't the first time I saw you live. I seen you in Mixed Marriage in the Lyric. That was a while back.
I'm really bad with years, but it was maybe about 2 years before Lemonade Sandwich.
Yeah.
That was the play I really liked because it was a St. John Irving play that, it was a strange one. The lyric themselves were like going, okay, I think this might work. But it turned out, that we got a lot of young people in from Queens and all who loved the play.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why you'd seen it, maybe
Do you know what?
it seemed to identify a younger audience.
It was it was during the time when I was like saying to my man that I was like, listen, I want to be an actor. My mum, anything she's seen in the Lyric, she's like, right, we're going to the Lyric to go see this play.
Yeah.
So we went to see
Yeah.
it and absolutely loved it. So were you acting from an early age, or what age did you decide to be an actor?
Mate, honestly, I never decided to be an actor. I fell into it, and I just fell into it. I was 11, and there was a Belfast Schools football team that were going to California for the '94 World Cup. So there was these trials for all these 11-year-olds to go to California as the Belfast Schools representative team, and they would tour California playing 11 football matches against American teams. So I was playing football and I got on that squad. So I went to the World Cup, seeing Argentina, I missed Maradona by one match. So I was over playing football, but before we went, our wee football team was brought on to like a local kids show called Over the Wall. Mm-hmm. So the story goes is that 16 young fellas are sitting there, all 11, and they asked who wants to do the interview, and all the boys put their head down. And I was like, I'll do the interview, no problem. So I done this interview. It was a recorded thing, but it done really well. And they said, would you come back for us next year and audition for a part of a presenter on the kids show? So I was like, yeah, fair enough. And I went back the following year and they gave me a job presenting this kids TV show with Lynn O'Neill. Lynn O'Neill was one of the co-presenters. Like, this is good back. Lynn was like 17. I was like 11. 1984, 95 it was, yeah, actually. It was the year after the World Cup, yeah. So that's how all of a sudden I was getting paid to do this, playing around type thing. I was going, yeah, I'll do that then. Yeah, I'll do that. Because I wasn't good enough to be a footballer.
Fair enough. So how did the TV presenting go into acting at 12-year-old? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was TV presenting at the start. It was like I'd done like a couple of things for BBC, done a kids show called Activate, which was sort of like on national television. I was one of their presenters, and then there was another one that I was meant to go to Florida to do, but it never happened. But then by that stage, it was like 15, and I got an agent, and I done a film called it was Divorce and Jack. It was the first movie I done. Again, day player role, went in and done this, and then I got another wee film here, another wee film there, and I didn't actually do theatre till I was 17. Mm-hmm. My first theatre gig wasn't until I was 17. But the funny thing about it was my first theatre gig was the Royal Court, which is insane. That's mad. Do you know what I mean?
So surely there was nerves there, like doing your first theatre gig. That's mad that it was in the Royal Court. But like I think there's a big difference between doing TV and doing films, because obviously you're performing in front of people, but it's a big difference than having an audience paying to come watch a show that you're in.
Big time.
What was the show you did in the Royal Court?
It was a Gary Mitchell play called The Force of Change. Right. And it was like a sort of, It was a cop drama about collusion set in Belfast, and it was done in the Gerwood space upstairs. And again, I was 17. I was lucky because my cousin lived in London, so she let me stay with her. But we went over, and I was doing plays in school, like in secondary school. I'd done like stage because I enjoyed it, because you got time off school to go and do the Christmas play. So I was like, yep, I'm there, happy days, I'll do it. So, when you're young, you're not nervous. When you're young, you think, oh, this is easy. Go out and give it a Dixie. And obviously, there's plenty of people around you, who were looking after you and keeping you right. So I was really, really lucky in that respect. There's a lot of people when I was younger, 17, 18, that sort of did take me under their wing and keep me right, which, you're thankful for.
Yeah. So you never went to university or drama school or anything to study it, did you?
This is the thing. I'd done the Royal Court, and the director was a guy called Rob Delamere, who was brilliant. He was just such a nice guy. The play was class. The play was good. It was critically acclaimed, and this guy was top of his job. Like, and the funny thing about it is that he says to me, he says, Gerard, if you go to drama school, every natural instinct you have to do this job will be changed. Mm-hmm. He says, my advice to you is to don't go to drama school. He says, you're working with Shirley Graham, you're working with Jason Isaacs, you're working with Sean Caffrey, God rest him. You're learning from these people.
Yeah.
And that's the way you're going to do it. He says, my advice to you is just to keep learning, because you're tuned in, you're instinctive. And he says, drama, some people need it. He says, maybe you're not going to be as technically good as somebody else who's went to drama school, but you'll learn. So and the mad thing of it was, I was a home bird. I never had any real, want to leave Belfast.
Yeah.
I was a home bird. I was happy where I was, and the fact that I was getting jobs, I was going, yeah, this is working out okay. I'll keep trucking and see how I go.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of the time people go to drama school because it's obviously you do learn the trade there, but you also use that and you do a showcase to get like an agent. But if you already have an agent, you're already working, there's no real need for that.
This is the thing, because whenever we done the Force of Change, I had an agent in Belfast, but I had a couple of offers from London agents. Mm-hmm. And again, Rob Delamere says, Gerard, if you want to take a London agent, they're going to expect you to be here. And I was like, right, well, I'm not taking a London agent then. Yeah. I'm going home, like, Mm-hmm. So it's just the way, because I really mean it. I fell into it, just fell into it, with no real rhyme or reason. And all of a sudden I was going, well, I'm good at this, so I'll keep doing it and see how we go. But everybody's journey is different, isn't it? Like,
yeah, 100%.
What works for one mightn't work for another,
That's it. Well, doing this podcast, like the amount of different journeys people have to getting into this industry is so interesting. Like, everyone has a different way in, but all the time, what I found is every single person have had a wee inkling that they like performing or being a little bit of the center of attention. But it's when you catch that bug and you're like, oh, here, this is class, I really enjoy it, and the fact that you can get paid for it, well, there you go, happy days. So then go ahead.
No, go ahead. But I was just going to say that you catch the bug, and it's the people. Performance great, performance great. It's great. It's great to create. I like creating art, and I like creating something that people enjoy, make people laugh, and make people cry, to make people, hate you or love you. I love all that. And that's just part of performing. But it's the people. The people make it for me, because when you're with a group of people or a cast or a certain director, and you look back over the years and you think about, I learned so much there. Loved that job, hated that job. Not going to make that mistake again, But it's the people, in the world that we're living in at the minute. That's what you miss. It's not even performing I miss. It's the camaraderie. It's the journey. It's getting together and creating. That's the thing.
Yeah. So then, at the age of 21, you got a part in Pull of Moves, and like, right, mate, like, I remember watching Pull of Moves. I was a kid, like, don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm younger than you, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And
just a bit.
But when I was a kid, I remember we got the DVD. One of my brothers got it for Christmas, and we watched it, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I should be watching this, because I was quite young. I was like, fuck, this is a bit mad. Your part, and I've listened to different podcasts of different people talking about Pull of Moves, and your part stands out to them all. Like you playing hooker is one of them ones
Yeah,
that's stood the test of time.
it
What
stood the test of time. Yeah,
absolutely. But was there fame that came with that? Obviously, like local fame, because a lot of people know pillow moves and
big
have seen
time.
it.
Yeah, it was really successful at the time. And the funny thing about Pull Moves is I done that audition with a few pence in me, because we were in the national doing Owen McCafferty's seats in the big picture. So there was me, there was Patty Lee, there was Darren Healy, there was Elaine Cassidy, Katie Kerr Clark, Andy Moore. There was a lot of Irish actors were in it. But we were rehearsing on St. Patrick's Day. And we were like, right, okay, we're rehearsing on St. Patrick's Day. This is a bit strange. But my audition for Pull Moves was on St. Patrick's Day. So it was like at 8 o'clock at night. So we left rehearsals. I forget what the audition was, but we went. But I was like last in. Poppy was in before me. Other people were in before me. So I went to the bar and had 3 pints. It was like going at St. Patrick's Day. I'm having 3 pints. So I landed in to do the audition. And the funny thing about it is that Hooker, the Hooker character was just, we've all seen Hooker on the road.
Yeah.
West Belfast, you've seen him. If you're from East Belfast, Hooker. It's just one of those characters. So I had a few pence in me and done that audition. And Pierce Shelley, who wrote it, he says, as soon as we seen you on that tape of the swank, that's the bastard to play Hooker. He's just a rocket, because I was juiced up going, how many days? I was going bananas.
Yeah.
So, it was a brilliant gig looking back at that. It's a long time ago. It was 2003. Like 18, 19 years ago. But that was a scream of a job. We had a ball.
Yeah.
We had an absolute ball. But we knew it was good. We knew it was good. And when we seen the scripts, we sort of went, people are, the audience at home are either going to love this or they're going to hate it. It wasn't going to be in the middle. They were going to go nuts for it, or they were going to go, that's terrible. So luckily it was a success.
You said there when you were in the national Scenes from Big Picture you were doing. What was What was the story? Because Tony Devlin was doing a play in the National Theatre at the same time. What happened there?
Yeah, mate, it was chaos, because Tony was in doing Henry V or Henry VIII. He was doing play. Yeah. We were just, we were doing scenes, but there was us in. There was Jerry Springer, the opera in, and there was the Henry cast. So in the National, our change room was in this big forecourt. So if you open the window, you look out the window, you can see Tony's dressing room up there. You can see the Jerry Springer one's up there. So we share this forecourt where you can see everybody. So a lot of the girls in the Jerry Springer show were up with the boobs out with the windows and all, and Tony's sticking his arse out, and we're all slanging each other. Yeah. But it was just a really mad mix where there was all this sort of classical sort of stuff going on with the Henry cast, and then you had me, and Darren Healy, Elaine Cassidy, Patty Lee, Chris Corrigan all running about having a ball doing the Belfast play. You know what I mean? But it was so funny, because it was just like I had a piercing in the back of my neck. It was like a bolt. Just goes, you pinch the skin and you put a bolt through. So I had this piercing in my neck, and it was Nick Heidner, ran the national at the time, and we had the meet and greet that morning, coffee, buns, and whatever. So we were there, and he's nice to meet everybody. But Tony had seen him turn around to say somebody and go, one of the Belfast cast has a bolt through his neck, and that was me. So Tony's going, he was blown away by just the insanity of our cast. But it was a brilliant show again. It was critically acclaimed, and we had an absolute ball for 6 months performing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ones you look back on and go, they're the highlights.
Absolutely, the National Theatre in London, that's unbelievable. Because I lived in London, was it last year, the year before, and I would go on walks along the river and just look at the National Theatre and just like, that's unbelievable that it's just there, and it's right in the center of London on the river, and it's just. Well, London's where it's at, kind of. It's like the hub of theatre and TV and film and all the rest of it in the UK and Ireland type of thing. And the fact that it's just there and used for doing plays and that's unbelievable. A Belfast play taking over.
The mad thing about it is again, ignorance is bliss. At the time, it meant nothing to me. So many people were going like, oh, you're a national. And I was like, so what? They're paying me to be here, big deal. It's only now, as you get older, you look back and go, fuck, that was a bigger deal than I ever, took it for at the time.
Yeah.
Because you're young, you're 21, it's like, you're just out to have the crack, you know what I mean? A few of the other casts were a bit more tuned in, we're going, no, this is a big gig, Yeah. It's going, same as every arm.
Well, probably at that age, it did you a favor, because it made it a lot less daunting if you don't know that how big a deal it is.
Yeah, learn your lines, go out and do it. You know what I mean? It was the space and the history at the time for me meant nothing. I was like going, yeah, I'm here for 6 months having a crack with my mates. You know, and we did. We had a ball, and the play was good. Peter Gill was amazing. You know, Peter Gill was phenomenal to work with, and he really the exuberance of the cast. You know, he really went for. You know, but looking back, you go, if you were to put me in that play now, I'd be shaking myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd be shaking yourself now as an older actor. You'd be going like, you know, when I say older actor, I mean older than 21, but you know, you'd be like going, fuck, it's a national, right? Make sure you're good. Whereas when you were 21, you're like going, go out and give it Dixie, make them laugh, make them cry, and we'll go and have a pint afterwards. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
you've done a lot of theatre, but you've done a lot of TV. Which do you prefer?
For the money of television, yeah. I prefer the money of TV. You know, if you're holding a gun to my head, I prefer theatre. You know, if you're holding a gun to my head and say you only do one, you know, I prefer doing a show because it's just a different journey, and it's, you know, it's just so different. And obviously, you get to perform it live. But I enjoy both vehicles. You know, and I enjoy both vehicles. Obviously, with having a young family now, theatre is a lot more tricky for me. You know, especially, you know, like if you offered me a playing the National tomorrow, I'm not going. 3 kids from 11 to 2, 8 and 11. You know, I'm not ditching for 6 months to do a play. So, you know, that's why I look back at the National and go, I'm glad I got that experience, because, you know, when you're trying to balance other things, it's not always going to work for you, you know.
Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, I would take theatre over TV and film, yeah.
So, you did, I think it was the second series of Game of Thrones you were in. Was it the second series?
2 and 4. I had done 2, and then I came in on 4 to bite the hand. That was it.
That's right, yeah. Because
we were like, going, can we come back as White Walkers or something? They're like, no, but you don't go. I was like, all right.
Like, when you were you a fan of the show when you got that part?
I auditioned for season 1. I never knew the books, so the books were obviously unknown to me. I auditioned for season 1 and didn't get it. It was for one of the Night's Watch. So I auditioned for season 1, didn't get it, and then I watched season 1 and loved it. Like, I really, really loved the show. So I went on to season 2 as a fan, pure fan of the show, because I thought season 1 was amazing. So it was class seeing people that, you know, you'd seen in season 1. So it was a brilliant job to be on, because you had seen that first season. I really want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Like, I would give my right arm to do a part in this. And luckily enough, you know, I got better. In the books, he's a cannibal, doesn't speak, he's no tongue, and he sounds class in the books, and you get maybe 4 minutes of screen time. But you know what? That was the gig, and you know, you take that, and you got on set. You know, it's just the way it was. But I was thankful for that.
Yeah, and with it being such a big show, you know that you're kind of part of the legacy of such a groundbreaking piece of television.
I loved it. Like, it was class.
The fact that it was filmed here is just, it's so mad to think, like, because that's kind of, we had 2 things that sold us. It was like Belfast, we built a Titanic that sank, but hold on, we made Game of Thrones. It's all right.
Yeah.
Now it's Game of Thrones.
You can come and see the sets.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because some of the sets, I'm up in like an island. One of the sets is up in like an old quarry up there, but it was the part where Jon Snow and the wildlings are on the frozen lake, and the army of the dead's around them, and like your man throws the stone, and then they realize they can walk onto it. So that was filmed up there. You know, it was a cracking show, brilliant. I loved it. You know, and it was, as I say, it was whenever I got offered a part on, I was like, I'm there. You know, a good few actors from here got to go with it. You know, which is brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of in terms of like filmmaking, it's kind of put the North on the map. Like how it's relatively cheap to film here, and except like in comparison to like America or parts of England. Like here, you've got the places, you've got unbelievable locations, but there's such good talent here. So many actors, there's so many technicians, the cameramen and all that you can use. Like it's so good. It's
even the crews here, even the crews now in the North are as good as anywhere. You know, the crews here are phenomenal, and they've, you know, that's a long slog for the crews on Thrones. Like, they're doing 7-8 months, nights, days, back, forward, and you speak to guys in costume or girls in costume makeup. You know, you speak the riggers and all, and it's a tough gig for them. We were thankful of the work, but it's no walk in the park with a production that size, you know. So, like you said, the talent pool is so much bigger that, you know, it's bigger than just actors. There's loads of other skilled people here. So, you know, it's a real feather in our cap, you know, Game of Thrones.
100%.
You know?
So, and obviously, I worked on Lemonade Sandwich with you, the one-man
Mhm.
play. What was that like, having a show like that was just you? Had you done a one-man show before?
I had done one before that. I had done Rum and Fadga, which is a Conor McPherson play, which was class. I loved it. I'd done that up in with Andrew Montgomery in Coleraine, and then we went down to the Everyman Palace for that show. And it was you know, it was similar to Lemonade Sandwich because it was physical. Some, you know, some one-man shows can be like that, and others can be more static. So Lemonade Sandwich was in a similar vein of physicality to Rum and Fadga, but there was a good maybe 10 years between them, you know?
Yeah.
So going in to do Lemonade Sandwich was a fresh challenge because it didn't feel, in a way, it felt like I hadn't done a one-man show before because of the time that had passed between the two. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's lonely up there sometimes, you know, but, you know, it's good. Like, I didn't do it. The thing of it is, I think it was Ciaran Nolan says to me that somebody says to him, and I can't remember who it was, but they says, with a one-man show, you're not fully in the skin of it until after maybe 60 or 70 performances. You're not truly, like, you know, comfortable in the skin of it, where you can sort of just navigate it completely, you know, in control. Because there was times in Lemonade Sandwich I was up there going, you know, you're freaking out because you're going, right, did I miss this, did I miss that? Because the story's down to you. You know what I mean? And I performance-wise, I think I may have only done maybe about 20 performances of it over the 2 runs, you know?
Yeah.
So you were always flying by the seat of your arse, like, Lemonade Sandwich, like, you know?
Because there's only so much work you can do in rehearsal room. But what you have to take into account is the unpredictability of an audience and the different beats that they're going to take and the different laughs here and different reactions there. Like, you need to take that into account. And sometimes if you've over-rehearsed a piece or whatever, you can get stuck in your head and be like, well, they're not meant to laugh there. Like, there's different things that you need to think about. And when you're by yourself and you don't have someone to rely on to kind of pick it up, it's all down to you.
Well, this is it. If, you know, with a cast of maybe 4 or 5, another actor can sometimes, you know, have the confidence to hold it, you know what I mean? And then go again to let the audience laugh. Where on a one-man show, you've got to be tuned in yourself, you know, so you're responsible for all of it, which is another level to it, you know, it's a good point. It's another level to it that sometimes you don't even think about at the time because it'll just terrify you even more. You just try and get the story right, try and, you know, do what you've done in rehearsals, and then the audiences they're on your side as well. Do you know what I mean? This is the thing about it, they're on your side. They want to enjoy themselves, because you were on the show that night where our lights failed, weren't you? In the Raddies, you were on that show.
Yeah,
that was the first one, and the rigging went, and, you know, we stopped for like 20 minutes, and then we decided, right, let's just go out and do it with house lights. Let's just pick up where we left off and finish the show. And when we came back out, they went bananas. They were like, yo, give it Dixie. So they're on your side, you know. So, you know, there's a safety net with a good audience as well, you know.
Yeah, because it's not just the creatives that want it to be a good show. Like, the people who've paid money to see it, they want the best show possible, so they are on your side. So then you and Ciaran, you mentioned Ciaran Nolan there. You and Ciaran did M2 Balloons. Where did that come about? Like, the idea?
That came. Listen, credit where it's due. It was Ciaran Nolan all along that was pushing for us to try a Christmas show. He says, Gerard, why can't we just, you know, get together a Christmas show? There's a market for it, you know, in West Belfast. People, because Ciaran had done a couple of pantos and stuff, so Ciaran had known, you know, the Christmas market. And I wasn't convinced at the start, but then the year that it started was 2015, and it sort of fell where we had work at Christmas and then we didn't. So then when the two of us were in his kitchen, he went, well, what are we going to do now? What are we, you know, we're either going to do this now, we're not going to do it. I said, right, well, okay. So Ciaran, you know, fair play to him, he was the driving force. He was the driving force for, you know, M2 Balloons. And we You were there. You were there the first year. We pulled it
Yeah,
off by the skin of our arse.
yeah.
It was chaos in places, but again, the audiences were on your side. You were out there having fun. It was Christmas, and and we got away with murder in places, but
And
we done it.
what I found, like honestly, stage management wise, that was my favorite show to work on, like on the
Yeah,
crew, because well, like obviously I was always a fan of Pull Moves. And obviously I knew you from doing Lemonade Sandwich with you, and I knew Ciaran because I worked on Man the Moon with him.
man, man.
But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
used two together. I like we would drive to like Strabane and Dungannon in this van. I'm in between Gerard Jordan and Ciaran Nolan, just constantly tearing each other to shreds, and it was
yeah,
it was the best crack. I absolutely loved it. But some of the places we went, like we would walk in and be like, "We're meant to make a theater space out of this," and we did it.
yeah.
We pulled it off.
Look at the Anchor Bar and Clock. That wee pub and Clock. It was over 2 rooms. The audience,
Yeah,
there was an audience in the back room, and then an audience in the front room, and then there's us on the stage.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And again, they loved it. They came out, like, we packed that wee bar out. You don't get about 60 people. I think we had about 80. Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? But they wanted a night out, and the show was a Christmas show. It's fun. But some of the we did go some weird and wonderful places, like, but it is good crack. Like, year one was stand out because just of the insanity of it.
Yeah,
Just
because
the
then
chaos.
you did it for another 2 years after that, didn't you?
We have done from 2015 to Christmas 2019. Yeah. So we've done we've done M2 Balloons, then we've done Deck the Falls, we've done The Terrible Tragedy of Twinbrook Turkey, then we've done The Fairy Tale of the New Lodge, and then we remounted Deck the Falls 20 Christmas 2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Vincent has written that trilogy for 3 plays.
Yeah.
Vincent, God love him, has done that for us. And again, the audiences have backed us.
Yeah.
So, we're thankful for that.
Well, that's it. Like I remember the first year, almost it was almost to prove to use yourselves that you could do it. So then when you realize you could,
Yeah.
then once you had like
Yeah.
the next year, then you know what went wrong the year before. So you learn from your mistakes, and
This is
then
it.
when you came back that second year, I can't remember going to see it, and was just like, gee, they've come a long way since last year. It was so good,
Yeah.
and so
We came a long way.
and then you did it in, was it in the Mac? You did it. You were doing it.
Yeah, we done the first year. The first year we toured, we done the rallies, we toured a bit. The second year was Deck the Falls, which we done the rallies, and we done like a regional tour of the Derry, Dungiven, Dungannon, Collock, and some of the GA clubs in West Belfast. They were good to have us in. And then once we had started with The Terrible Tragedy of Twinbrook Turkey, that's when we got the space in the Mac. Yeah, that's when we got the space in the Mac. So we've done the Mac 2 Christmases in a row there. Terrible Tragedy of Twinbrook Turkey, The Fairy Tale of the New Lodge, and then the remount of Deck the Falls, because Deck the Falls had never went into the Mac. So yeah, we've done the Mac 3 years, 3 years in the bunch. Yeah,
class.
Yeah, Simon was brilliant. And, we got us in, and it's brilliant to go into the Mac. It's a great, because we do 2 shows a day. So people come in for the early show, then they're out, and there's people travel. There's people travel from the country,
Mm-hmm.
There was people down from. It was a girl from Armagh City, and there was people there from Pomeroy, and all had come up. Man, we were up every year. You're going like, how the fuck did you know about this madness?
Yeah,
to come up and see us too. You know what I mean? So
class. A lot of the time, word of mouth works in your favor. When you go to, like, you do a regional tour, and you go to all these different mad places, but people see it and they remember, and you maybe don't think about that side of it. The fact that you do, say you go to a place that's 80 people in Dungiven or whatever, then those 80 people remember, they love the show. They're going to tell their mates and be like, here, next year, make sure you go. And then it just builds from there.
This is it. And the one thing we always worried about with when we were touring it was, will like a Dungiven audience get some of the Belfast jokes?
Mm-hmm.
And they did, because there was jokes there about the big new little, and about what else was there? There was a couple of, like, what we thought were local Belfast jokes, but they travelled.
100%.
They travelled.
So did you, obviously those scripts were written for use, but Have you ever considered writing yourself?
No, don't get me wrong. It's like when you get a script and you see whether, like, I remember years ago when Gary Mitchell was doing rewrites on The Force of Change, like late rewrites in the rehearsal room. And we were working stuff and going, this is not working. Well, I wasn't saying this because I was 17, but the other actors were going, what about this? What about that? Why am I saying this? Why don't we do that? And Gary was disappearing and coming back down. I was going, how is he just flipping it like that? How is he flipping it? It's a skill set. It's a skill set that, I think, I would need to go and, properly put something into, because I don't, in my head, I'm going beginning, middle, and end. It's a skill set that I'd rather leave to the people that are good at it. I enjoy acting. I enjoy bringing the words off the page, but I'm not overly, not that I'm not overly keen, but I just don't feel that, I have any strength in writing. Maybe one day I will. I'll never say never, like,
yeah.
But I've never, had a couple of ideas, but I could maybe write a scene, but at this stage I couldn't write a play.
What I found, it's all well and good having an idea, and talking about an idea really helps. And you're like, here, this is going to be class. And then you sit down to write it, and you're like, how do people speak these far? Well, you don't
exactly. And you have that mental block. You go, oh, it was class 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But, even there's a skill to it, and there's a skill to creating drama, and there's a skill to telling a story. And some people are really good at it. And I'm sort of going, I don't believe I have any skill in doing it, but I would maybe try and write a sketch, like for me and Ciaran, for example. I would give that a go, but I'm not writing, a 2-act play for Jimmy Faye anytime soon, believe me.
Fair. Gerard, what, obviously it's really hard to try and like plan in the future, with everything that's going on. There's a pandemic going on, by the way.
I so believe.
Remember that?
I think it's on the news or something.
Yeah, something like that. COVID or something. So what are you hoping to do, hopefully, when this is all over? Has this given you almost like a new lease of life to go out and do different things, or what are you hoping to do?
Well, the thing of it is that, everybody's had a tough year. You look around and, you'd see people struggling here and there, and in many different forms, financially, mentally, some people who are working, some people who aren't working. I went and bought a van and I'm out delivering Amazon. I'm happy as a pig in shape. If that pays the bills, if that keeps my family sweet, that's what I'm doing. It's no odds.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough for 2021 has started off well. I've just finished the gig and I'm going on to another one. So again, really thankful for that. But I just think you have to, my and dad, God rest them, they sort of give me the platform of going, son, you just got to knuckle down, whatever it is you got to do, when you got to do it, where it's around your family, where it's looking after, your sick parents, whether it's getting through a pandemic, knuckle down, put your best foot forward. And, my mate used to always say to me, there's not a problem that can't be solved. So this will be another problem that will be solved. We just have to stick it out.
100%. I think it's that generation that of working class people, like my parents are the same. They're just like, they're just workers. It's ingrained in them. That's just what you do. You work and you make your money and you provide for your family. There's no other option. And
right down on the gum sheet and keep going,
100%. And there's this strange thing with actors where people don't realize that they are people trying to just pay their bills. So a lot of times, and you're like, well, if there's not an acting job there or whatever, you have to go out and get a job like a normal person, because you are a normal person.
This is it. Like, as I'm saying, there was a girl, like, I deliver for Amazon all over the north. It's everywhere. You can be anywhere and everywhere any given day. And there was a girl I delivered to, and she went, I'm delighted to see you bringing my parcel, but I'm even more delighted when I see you on that stage every Christmas. Do you know what I mean? So
that's lovely.
She knows he's an actor. He's just nice delivering Amazon. No hassle. Doesn't annoy. I'm thankful for it. Do you know what I mean?
Because they're both jobs at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's they're very different, but at the end of the day, sitting in the house and looking at the four walls and is not going to get you anywhere. So I'm thankful that I was able to go and do that. And listen, I've got 2 jobs this year. I can't complain. I can't fucking complain. Once I finish these jobs, I go back out in the van. I'm doing great. I have no fucking issues, and I've no tears to cry. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, you just, it's tough on people, but we'll get there. We just got to stick it out,
100%.
We just got to stick it out, like.
Absolutely. So Gerard, you were in Brassic,
Yes.
and that show, because I had a friend of mine had an audition for it, and I obviously didn't hear that it was happening, and it was the first season he had an audition for it. I was like, that sounds lethal, and then watched it, and I seen a little bit of correlation between that and Pulling Moves. It almost seems like that's an English Pulling Moves.
Yeah, that's the mad thing. It's the same. The thing about Brassic is Joe Gilgun, who is an absolute gentleman, brilliant actor. It's his baby. It's his story, so it's his life about growing up. Joe suffers with, bipolar, which he's very vocal about. If you ever read an interview with him, he'll tell you. If you see him on set, he'll tell you. But it's his sort of story of growing up. And Joe's one of those people. He's like one in a million. You don't meet people like Joe Gilgun every day. And it's his baby. And he is so involved in it, and it's a big family. He wants you to come in, like we're playing we're like a traveling family. And he says, you're such and such. I'll get him on the phone now, and he's FaceTiming going, look, this is the guy that's playing you in the show. Do you know what I mean? So that's what Brassic is.
Yeah.
Which again is very similar to Pulling Moves, because again, if you speak to Pierce Elliott and say, who's Shay, who's wardrobe, are you wardrobe, and who's Hooper, Pierce knows who all those people were, because Pierce writes what he knows, and he can do that. He can do other stuff as well. But Brassic is like that as well, where all those characters on the screen are people in Joe's life in some form or another from growing up. So it's a scream to do. It's a brilliant show.
So Joe wrote it, but he doesn't direct it, does he?
No, Joe. Danny Brocklehurst writes it.
Okay.
Joe's one of the creators, so Joe will co-write it with him. And there's been a couple of different directors in doing it. Daniel Hard on season 1. I was only on a day in season 2. There was a couple of different directors, and then we've had again different directors in season 3. But I think it's going to go for maybe another year or 2. But it's doing scenes with Joe. He's just himself. It's so funny because we had a scene there a couple of weeks ago, and he's just going, right, we'll try this, or you do that. No, you do what you want. He says, and it's really, really different with him. It's not rigid. You can really express yourself.
Yeah.
Where you go with your instincts, go with your gut. You know what you're doing anyway, Gerard. Just you fill your boots. That's why you're here. And there's a real freedom to Brassic with Joe there.
It's in a similar vein to the way he maybe worked with Shane Meadows on This Is England, because a lot of the time there wasn't like a set script. It was just, he would just be like, this is what happens in this scene. Go. Yeah. Just express yourselves and act, to just do it. And maybe he's kind of taken a bit of that on. And a lot of the time that's where the magic happens. When an actor's instinct is way better than whatever is on a page that's written 9 months ago. It's there in that moment. Yeah.
Because that's the mad thing, is that, like you say, if you look at Joe Gilgun's characters, in This Is England, and in Brassic, and a couple of even interviews, if you read with him, he just basically says, I just do me. Like, if you look at he even says it himself, if you look at my characters throughout my career, they're all very similar. It's just me and my form of madness, you know what I mean? And that's what I do. But he's a lovely guy, and I think the character of Vincent O'Neill in Brassic, he's one of, like, you want to be Vinny's mate. You watch that show and go like, I want to be his mate, because he's such a good guy. And it's just Joe, he's in there pitching, doing it, telling his story, and I'm really happy that it's successful for him, because he's a good spot. He's one in a million. He really is, and he's super talented.
Yeah. So we'll just finish off by, I'll ask you, have you any advice for aspiring actors, people who want to get into the industry, or maybe people who are already in it and just need to kick up the arse? What would you advise them?
Well, the only advice I have is the advice I would give myself. And the one thing that I have sort of, we all go through the same turmoil, getting the call, or we're not getting the call. Why is he getting the audition and I'm not? They're looking a fat guy or a thin guy. We all have the same turmoil. We give ourselves such a hard time about performances. When you watch it and go, oh, Jesus, I'm the worst one in that. But I've just found that for me personally, over the last 18 months, 2 years, is I don't give a fuck anymore. If the audition comes in, I'll read it. I'll go in and I'll do it. And if they like it, brilliant. If they don't, good luck to whoever gets it. I've stopped caring about it. There's a freedom to it where you just go, I'll go in, I'll pitch it, I'll listen, I'll work with whatever you want me to do, we'll work it. And if you like it, I'm your man. If you don't, best luck with the project.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of a bit of a thick skin. It's like Eminem, I watched this documentary, and Eminem, when he was younger, says he was doing all these mixtapes and he was doing all these open mic nights. And he had these two Jewish producers, and they were like, kid, we're going to get you out there. So they got these albums recorded and they put them out. Nobody bought them. They were trying to give them away. But in the open mic nights, people were loving him. And he's going, I'm really talented, but my music isn't selling. And he says, he tried his best. And at one point, he just went, fuck this. He says, I'm not going to please anybody. I'm not going to do nothing. And he says he called it his fuck the world phase, where he just started being Eminem. And all of a sudden he says, if you don't like me, fuck you. And they're like, no, we like you. There's all the millions. And he became successful. So he said there was a freedom to it once he stopped caring and said, I'm not going to cater to people. I'm just going to do what I want to do. If you want me, I'm there. If you're not, I'm out. And all of a sudden he says it was like a wee flip in his head. And he says, and that's when I found success, is when I just done the thing and didn't care. So maybe that's my only advice, is just keep trucking. It's all subjective anyway.
Yeah.
If you like De Niro and Heat, and I like, Pacino, I'm not right and you're not wrong. It's all subjective, so just keep trucking, keep pitching. As long as you're enjoying it and as long as you're having fun, keep doing it. And if you don't, then go and do something else.
100%. Gerard, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate
Absolute pleasure speaking to you, Chris. I haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you're still looking really young, so fair play to you.
I had a shave, bit.
I'm looking really old. Maybe with salt and pepper. You know what I mean?
That's it.
But give my love to the family and all. And hopefully I'll see you on the other side of this. We'll have a pint of stout somewhere.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Mate, thank you very much. So there you have it, folks. That was Gerard Jordan. Next week, I am joined by one half of Grimes and McKee. Connor Grimes is joining me next week, so tune in for that. If you could, tell your friends about the podcast, like and subscribe to the video. This has been Playing Pretend with Chris McIlvenny. See you next week.